Welcome back to Mornings. Is your relationship on the rocks because your man won't commit? I tell you, it's an all too common storyline featured in the recent film He's Just Not That Into You. Advice for women waiting next. But first, have a look at this scene starring Jennifer Aniston.
I just need you to stop being nice to me unless you're going to marry me after. Is that funny? Do you think that's funny?
Nope. I guess it's not funny.
See, you can't keep being nice to me, and I can't keep pretending that this is something that it's not. We've been together for over 7 years. You know me. You know who I am. You either want to marry me or you don't.
Or?
Okay, does he want to commit or not? Advice from relationship psychologist John Aiken. How do you read that, John?
Well, look, I really liked that because, you know, she was in a position where she'd been hanging on for long enough, 7 years. She was lighting a fire under him, giving him an ultimatum, a deadline, and saying, step up here, otherwise I'm out. And anyone who's seen the film, she does actually leave, and he then has to decide, is she the one or not? And he goes after her.
But that's Jennifer Aniston. What about the rest of us?
Well, look, ideally you don't want to be in this situation where you're with somebody and they're struggling to commit.
But, you know, a lot of us live in a bit of a fantasy world when it comes to all this. I guess it's more a girl thing. Girls are sort of prepared to hang on a lot longer than guys, I assume, from your professional point of view.
Yeah, look, you certainly see that. And I think what's important is that you need to have an idea of where you're headed together rather than being in limbo. And so if you're in this situation and it's gone on for too long, the first thing I would say to you is take some responsibility and realise that you've taught them to not commit, and therefore you need to teach them differently. And then with that responsibility, you then go into how to go about doing it.
Well, let's get to some of that advice, because that's the key to all this. Advice on someone who's got this problem. So you talk about outlining the problem behaviour. Is that what you do?
That's right. Yeah, well, because what you'll find is that there'll be things that you're seeing, signs that they're struggling to commit. Things like they avoid talking about the future, they delay moving in with you, they're unsure about the question of kids, and they avoid spending time with your friends, family. Just generally delaying all the time. And they can be flirtatious, they avoid that whole I'm in love with you, and they even might have separate finances. So you've got these signs going on, you've been together for more than 5 years or so, and you're thinking, where do I stand here? You need to act.
What do you do?
Okay, well, you need to firstly point out what are the problem behaviours here. You need to be specific and say to them, look, you know, when you don't say I'm in love with you back when I say that to you, you know, that's a problem. Or you've not talked about marriage or kids or future. So making sure you're aware of that, and then tell them how it affects you emotionally.
Okay, so how long after mentioning these things do you give them?
Well, what you would do then is you'd have a hardline talk about commitment questions and then give them a deadline. Now,
so what happens if that deadline passes?
Well, then you leave.
That's called the ultimatum.
You do. If you
give an ultimatum, you've got to make sure you commit.
Yeah, you do. And you have to back it up, exactly right. And if you leave and say, look, I can't stand this situation anymore, and they want it, then they will come after you. Otherwise, you're going to have years and years, and I see this a lot with women that I see, where they lose parts of their life just waiting in limbo for years and years. So act now and be proactive about getting them to commit. Back them into a corner by all means and light a fire under them.
And be prepared for the consequences.
Exactly.
John, interesting advice, and thank you very much.